On behalf of the Ashe County Board of Commissioners, I'd like to welcome each and every one of you here today. I regret so much that we couldn't be outside where these monuments are located. I walked down just a few minutes ago. It was still drizzling rain, and I thought about us getting together down there when we have the National Day of Prayer in early May, and it would be so good to be down there. Our house within God we trust across the front, our American flag, our monuments dedicated to the wars that our veterans and our forefathers have fought in, and it's just so appropriate. But I appreciate this and these three documents that we celebrate with the dedication today, and they are so important in our history. The founders, the people who wrote these, have made us what we are today, and I appreciate this opportunity. I'm so proud to be a Christian. I'm proud to be an American, and God bless America. And we will have, I think, next our invocation by Commissioner Perry.
Let us pray. Our dear Lord and Heavenly Father, as we come before you today, we are truly thankful for this country that we live in. We the people have been blessed with your protection over us. We thank you for the guidance you gave our founding fathers through your word in 1776 in laying out the guiding documents for our nation. We thank you for this opportunity to display these freely for all to see and learn from. We thank you for the charters of freedom that has taken on this task to honor our great country and to keep our history alive. We are one nation under God, and we ask your continued blessings upon our county here and our great nation. Bless all that serve each day through generations to come to help keep our nation free. In the name of our almighty Lord and Savior, amen.
Amen.
Four. Arms. Forward. March. Collar guard. Hold. Left. Face. Pre-zip. Arms.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fights for the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave for the land of the free and the home of the brave.
Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Order. Arms. Right. Face. Forward. Arms. Column left. March.
Thank you to the color guard, thank you Commissioner McNeil for the pledge, and thank you everybody again for coming out this rainy, dreary morning. I'd just like to take a moment, recognize a couple of folks that took some time out of their busy schedules and give them a minute to say something. And first on the list, I'd like to welcome Congresswoman Virginia Fox.
Thank you. Well, I want to thank the Pattersons for presenting these monuments to Ashe County, and I want to thank all of you all for being here. These monuments really are, these documents are the bedrock of our country. Everything that we do in terms of our laws and our actions are based on them. It should be that we think of them every day. I urge young people, I give out pocket copies of the Constitution. I left mine in the car. I should have brought it in with me. But I carry them with me. When I speak to young people, I urge them to please read it once a year. You can read it on Constitution Day, I tell them, or maybe the first day of the year, to remind them of this document and what it means to our country. And I always point out to them that those words, we the people, and the document outside is entitled We the People, were not put in large print accidentally. That was done on purpose. And our government belongs to us. It is up to us. This country was the most radical idea when it was founded because of these documents, because it's asserted that we are in control. It isn't a government that gives us rights. Our Creator gave us our rights. So it's so important that we be reminded of these. I also want to point out, and I had not realized this until I saw the finished product out here today, that the 3 North Carolina signers of the Constitution are figured prominently. And when you come to the Capitol, if you come to the Capitol, you will see there is a portrait between the 2nd and 3rd floor on the House side of the Capitol of the signers of the Constitution. Now that scene never occurred, but they wanted to have a likeness of everybody who had signed the document. And we don't know for sure, but it's interesting that the 3 North Carolina signers, and you see their names outside, Spate, Blunt, and Williamson, are figured prominently in that portrait. The person signing the Constitution in that portrait is Richard Dobbs Spate. The man to his left, I hope I have my memories right, is Blunt, and the man right behind him. They're the 3 most prominent figures in the painting other than George Washington and Benjamin Franklin. It's very interesting that that's the case. I've asked the historian why, and they're not sure, except that perhaps they were the last 3 signers. And I believe Mr. Patterson may tell us that it's because they waited for the Bill of Rights to be added. So I want to say this is a wonderful day in Ashe County. It's a wonderful day for our posterity, because as long as we can maintain our freedom and as long as we adhere to those documents, then we will remain the greatest country in the world. Thank you very much.
Next, I'd like to recognize Senator Deanna Ballard.
I think Congresswoman Fox just spoke eloquently on this, but just to echo kind of what she had said, I did walk in this morning and had a chance to really sit and stand and just reflect on the documents in front of us. But it is our charge and our challenge to live these principles out each and every single day. And it's wonderful to be here, to be celebrating this. I know Watauga County has actually been discussing the same charters as well. And so I look forward to sharing about how, what an impact this is going to make over here. And I do think it's important to think about and reflect on the education of generations to come here in Ashe County and how critical that is. So bring your families, bring your friends, and just continue to remind them and to show them. I was with my nephews recently and was just really, asking them to really remember and to really think on men and women who fight for our freedoms and each and every single day on the battlefields. But then there are men and women who serve, whether it's Raleigh or whether it's DC or, and our forefathers who served Philadelphia, but men and women who fight with not necessarily guns, but also fight with words and fight with their feet and their legs, and they're really standing strong and rising up. So just remember those guys, men and women, as we reflect and as we look at those charters of freedom that are in front of us each and every single day, because it's because of their courage, it's because of their strength of mind and their strength of heart and their faith and their insight that we really are truly blessed to live in the United States of America. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Ballard. Next, I'd like to call Representative Jonathan Jordan.
I'm not going to take very much of your time. I'm losing my voice, but I'm very honored to be here today. And I thank the Foundation, the Pattersons, for this wonderful gift to our county. The Constitution itself is a gift to all of us, and I would definitely encourage our young folks to look over it and understand it. I talk to my children all the time about that Constitution, how it's very different from many countries in the world. We are unique in how we were founded and how we live our lives under this Constitution. And I was going to mention also that the Bill of Rights is very important to be there, especially for North Carolina, because our signers would not agree to it without that document in place. The 10 rights that we all have. And again, I thank our veterans for everything they've done to fight for us, for our freedom, for this Constitution. And I appreciate very much this gift being here. We can look at it every single day.
Thank you, Representative Jordan. Yeah. Next, I'll call on West Jefferson Town Manager Brandon Price.
Good morning. Boy, what an honor to be here and be able to be here with the Charter of Freedom dedication today. We owe a big thank you to Mr. and Ms. Patterson for this, their hard work on this project, as these documents gave us our freedom and our rights for the American people. What a great nation and county that we're blessed to live and call home here in the Blue Ridge Mountains of Ashe County. To have these documents displayed in the county courtyard is amazing. Now the young and old can see these documents instead of having to travel to Washington, D.C. And now Ashe County joins other North Carolina counties that have already installed the documents in their communities, and hopefully others will follow. These honors those who have served our nation and continue to serve our nation for our freedom. It's a pleasure to work for one of the local governments here in Ashe County, make us a better place to live and work. Thank you.
A couple others here today, not on the program, but certainly want to recognize the Ashe County Board of Commissioners, William Sands, Paul Perry, Todd McNeil, and Larry Rhodes, and also Sheriff Jim Hartley is present with us today. Next, I'd like to introduce Vance Patterson to come up and give a little background and story on the Charters of Freedom.
First of all, I am really proud of everybody that made the effort to be here today, because this is truly a historic occasion. And my question is, are you ready to be a part of history? Because these settings out front are designed to last for the next 300 and 500 years. And if you sign the register in the back, you will go in the time capsule, and your future generations will know that you were here today. I'm going to tell you a little about the inspiration behind setting up the foundation, and then give you an idea of what the foundation is doing right now for education and what we see in the future.
First of all, let me tell you who I am. I'm Vance Patterson. I'm from Burke County. Father of four, married 44 years to my wife, Mary Jo. Started a company back in '89 to make industrial fans. I am a manufacturer. So, about 7 years ago, Mary Jo and I were up in Washington, D.C., and we decided to go over to the National Archives because we'd never seen the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution before. We found ourselves wandering down this hallway looking at different exhibits, and then it opened up into this large room. We walked through these big bronze gates into this rotunda, and there are the founding documents on the other side. Declaration of Independence on the left, 4 pages of the Constitution in the middle, and the Bill of Rights on the right. And this is when we learned that these are what are known as the Charters of Freedom. Now, this is the first time that Mary Jo and I had ever seen the original documents. So when we got a chance, we stepped up, looked at the Declaration of Independence, something our founding fathers had actually penned. And then when I saw their signatures, Thomas Jefferson, Benjamin Franklin, John Adams, Rutledge, Wilson, and the others, I just got goosebumps. And then I looked over at the first page of the U.S. Constitution. We moved over, and there are those 3 words, we the people. And I actually got a lump in my throat. I look over, and Mary Jo's got tears in her eyes. It was really an emotional experience for us. A year later, back in Burke County, I was thinking about that experience, and the thought came to me, what if I could duplicate that experience and bring it back to the citizens of Burke County? So I told Mary Jo about it, and we started working on a project. It turned out to be an education project. And the scope was to design and build a replica of the Charters of Freedom as exhibited in the National Archives. To place that in a central location in Burke County, it had to have high visibility, high foot traffic, and easy access for school children and veterans. Well, it took 2 years to get this done, even though it was a gift to the county. We ran into a number of problems, not the least of which, there are no drawings for what's up in Washington available to the public. There are no dimensions, no measurements, and we looked a lot. So the morning after we got this late night approval from Burke County and the city of Morganton that they would accept the gift, Mary Jo and I get back in the car, we drive back up to Washington, walk into that rotunda, and now they won't let you just take a tape measure out and start measuring a national treasure. But we had a plan. Mary Jo went one way and I went another. And I stepped up in front of the U.S. Constitution and did this. It's just right at the end. I'm standing about in the middle. Meanwhile, Mary Jo is actually walking up to the settings, turning around and facing the crowd, and marking on her body the different elevations. And then we left. We took those measurements, designed it. So while you're setting out here may not be exactly what's up in Washington, keep in mind it's based on 2 paces of a short guy and 3 marks on my wife's body. July 2nd, 2014, we dedicated the first Charters of Freedom setting outside of Washington, D.C., in downtown Morganton. That gift was so well received, and we enjoyed it so much, we decided to do another one in Cherokee County in the town of Murphy. The third one went downtown Asheville in Buncombe County. During this time, we decided to set up a 501c3 education foundation called Foundation Forward because we knew we were going to do more. To date, we have done 16 Charters of Freedom settings across the country in North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia, Indiana, Illinois, and as far west as Carson City, Nevada. Yours is the 17th, and it's very important in the progress that we're making. I'm going to tell you about in just a little bit. Let me tell you a little about your setting out here. One of the things I learned in life was that if you want a monument or a setting to last, you put more underground than above ground. Your setting out here goes down 3.5 feet in the ground with reinforced poured concrete. It then comes up with a reinforced poured concrete core. Just the center core and the foundation of the U.S. Constitution, just that one setting, weighs over 38,000 pounds, over 19 tons. There are 6 documents out there. They're life-size, which makes the Declaration of Independence a little bit larger than the others. All 6 documents are on 1/4-inch etched drawings, and each one weighs over 60 pounds. They're then covered with unbreakable glass. Please don't try it. There's an emblem on the front of the Constitution, which is very special. We commissioned some artists around the country to come up with this emblem. The eagle represents the U.S., the Declaration of Independence. Proud, bold, defiant. There are 7 stars above the eagle, which represent the 7 articles of the U.S. Constitution. And there's 10 stars under the eagle, which represent the first 10 amendments, which are your Bill of Rights. This is the 5th anniversary of Foundation. Mary Jo and I have covered 98% of that cost personally. Now, people ask us, why are we doing this? And yes, it's very expensive, but we tell them it's more expensive than money, or it's more important than money. We believe it gives us a direct link to our founding fathers by helping to preserve what it is they gave this country, a government to serve and protect we the people. From the beginning, this has been about education. We learned that we had 2 founding fathers who were very big on education. Thomas Jefferson, 3rd President of the United States, actually penned most of the Declaration of Independence. And Benjamin Franklin, an inventor, political theorist, he was an author, and truly a sage. He's the one they would go to if they had problems they got stuck on. They'd go to him for his wisdom. These 2 believed that in order to have a free and independent nation, you must understand how government works, that you cannot control what you do not understand. Thomas Jefferson in 1789 wrote, "Whenever a people are well informed, they can be trusted with their government." And James Madison in 1822, James Madison, a virtual rock star, only 5'4" tall, virtual rock star of his era, wrote, "A people who mean to be their own governors must arm themselves with the power knowledge gives." You wouldn't believe how many people come up to us when we're doing these installations and say, "That's all there is to the Constitution? Just 4 pages?" And we say, yes. All of our laws and our government are based on those 4 pages. You wouldn't believe how many people don't know that the first 10 amendments are our Bill of Rights. I guarantee there are people that are here today that are learning that or hearing that for the first time. Now, you may have noticed, I am not calling this a monument. I've been avoiding that term because monuments aren't real popular right now, for one thing. Been calling it a setting. I looked up the term monument, see what it meant. A monument is a memorial to an event or a person. And this is not a memorial. This is an active, hands-on educational supplement for your school's curriculum. Imagine, if you will, teachers bringing their 3rd, 4th, 5th grade classes down here for annual field trips to learn a little about our founding fathers, a little about the documents, and some about the government, federal, state, and local. And while they're here, they can learn about local heroes. This is happening across the country right now in a number of these communities that have their Charters of Freedom Centers, and the kids just truly love the experience. They love a hands-on experience in education. Another dimension that just happened this past week in the education is Foundation Forward sponsored, paid for, a Broadway production of 1776, the musical, down in Charlotte. We invited the students from Charlotte schools, and 1,100 tickets disappeared almost overnight. We had to turn down 2,500 students that wanted to come to that production. It was in the Thalen Auditorium, downtown Charlotte. It was an amazing experience. When I went out on stage to talk a little about what we were doing, I looked at the faces of 1,100 kids looking up at me, and it was an incredible experience, the anticipation they had. The actors and the cast had never had a response from an audience like that before. When it started, and this was a 3-hour production, if you can imagine yourself sitting there for 3 hours looking at history and hearing him sing, it was incredible. There was one instance where Thomas Jefferson hadn't seen his wife for like 6 months. And Martha shows up and he runs across the stage and they embrace. Those 1,100 kids just went nuts. I mean, they started whooping and cheering and yelling and everything, and it went on and on for like a minute and a half. And the actors are stuck in this embrace on stage. Everybody's kind of looking around, when's this going to end? Because it just kept getting more and more. Well, Franklin and Adams had lines they were supposed to say. while this was going on and they couldn't do it. And finally, Franklin walks over with his cane and kind of quiets the audience down. Just great stage management. Another time, and it was really an emotional roller coaster. Another time, Edward Rutledge from South Carolina is singing this incredible song. And it's about slavery in the South. And he's representing all the South on this. And the students start looking at each other like, what's going to happen here? And he gets to a part where he is attacking the North for their hypocrisy, because the slave trade always went through Boston and then the Ivory Coast and then back to Jamaica. So he's attacking the North for their participation and their hypocrisy. And he makes mention that these are not people, these are property. And I thought we were going to have to turn the lights on and bring it up. It was very intense, but then it moved on. Right towards another real quickly part that they were really susceptible to was the courier, this young courier that was bringing messages from Washington, and the front lines would come in probably 6 or 7 times, and they would read the messages. One of them talked about how Washington was facing battle with 5,000 troops against 25,000 British regulars, and he noticed that most of his troops were either old men or young, under 15 years of age, and you could hear a gasp in the crowd. These students were taking ownership of this history. Probably for the first time in their lives, they were taking ownership of what had happened in our past. And it was just an incredible experience. We hope to do more of these as if the funding is in place in the spring for around different parts of North Carolina, so watch for it. There are 3,142 counties, boroughs, parishes, independent cities, and census zones in the District of Columbia in the United States. Our long-term goal as a foundation is to place charters of freedom settings in as many of those communities as possible over the next 10 years. Our short-term goal is to do all 100 counties, of which Ashe is the number 17, do all 100 counties, and then do all 46 counties of South Carolina. So people around the country are asking, what is going on in the Carolinas? Our hope is that our future leaders will come from communities that have their own charters of freedom. That your kids and theirs will grow up no longer talking about the U.S. Constitution in Washington and the Bill of Rights. They'll be talking about their Constitution and their Bill of Rights, the ones they grew up with right here in Ashe County. And now finally, in closing, we get a lot of people that come up to us afterwards and thank us for what the foundation is doing and everything. Parents, veterans, teachers. You know, I've had high school history teachers come up with tears in their eyes. They're so moved by the effort that we're making. But one really stands out, and that was at Hanover College last fall. Mary Jo and I had just finished the dedication, and we were at the campus center and getting ready to leave. I looked over, and there was a guy that I worked with, Ron Wells, African-American, worked in facilities and maintenance, and he had really helped me a lot, and during the setting, the construction. I said, I need to thank this guy again. So I walked over and got my hand out, and I'm just ready to shake his hand. Ron, thank you so much for all the help you did. And this guy had a really heavy handshake. I mean, a lot of personality there. And so I said, thanks for all the help you gave me. And he said, Mr. Patterson, thank you for setting this in our community. It is really special. And what I always said up until then was, just make sure people use it. And that's what I said. And he said, Mr. Patterson, I took my son over last night, and we had to talk. I said, Ron, that means more to me than anything anybody has ever said. You see, it's more than just the schools taking the youth over. It's about parents and family taking your kids over and having that talk. So let's do this. You take your son, your daughter, your grandchildren, your niece, your nephew, or other family member over here to your charters of freedom setting, and you have the talk like Ron Wells did, and tell them about their freedoms and their rights, and how those freedoms and rights give them an advantage over most of the rest of the world to pursue their passion, to follow their dreams, and to accomplish in life what it is they want to get out of life. You do that, and we'll call it even. Thank you. And now, will Chairman Sands please come forward? Oh, this is our certificate of title, and the Charters of Freedom setting located at the County of Ashe Courthouse, 301 East Main Street, Jefferson, North Carolina, is hereby gifted from Mary Jo and Vance Patterson of Burke County to North Carolina, to the children, veterans, and citizens of Ashe County. All rights, responsibilities, and care for this setting, displaying the Declaration of Independence, the U.S. Constitution, and the Bill of Rights are hereby transferred to Ashe County this day, November 5th, 2018.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
All right, we've just got two more things to do, real briefly. One is, there is a time capsule in the back, vault in the back of the center setting. And in that vault will go a time capsule. In the time capsule will be letters from the administrators here in Ashe County, veterans group, hopefully, somebody from the education department, law enforcement, somebody from our group. Well, I'll have a letter in there. And there's a sign-up sheet in the back. For anybody that is here, please sign that sheet. It's on archival paper. It will be placed in the time capsule in the vault. That vault will be sealed and not open until September 17th, 2087. It'll be the 300th anniversary of the U.S. Constitution. All vaults will be open the same day, so it should be an interesting day. So please sign that sheet in the back. And finally, we like to do when I first did this, I wanted to do a cannon salute. And this is in Morganton, when it was outside. But I didn't know how many times to fire the cannon. So I did some research. Again, this is an education project. And I learned that the cannon salute began back in the 1600s. Ships pulling into port would not know whether the ship was hostile or the port was hostile. So the ship would turn its guns to sea and discharge them, seven rounds. Now, anytime you discharge a weapon, you do two things. You weaken your position, but you're also showing respect for the other side. Well, the port, having more cannon and more powder, would answer 3 in kind, and that's where you get your 21-gun salute. Well, I didn't want to do a 21 gun. I knew that wasn't right. It was too much. So I had done business in Scotland, had some manufacturing over there, and I knew that the Scottish marked the time of day with a cannon. And so I remember the story was the Scottish liked the way the British did it. The British would fire 12 rounds at noon so everybody could set their clocks at the time, the merchants and the captains. Well, the Scottish, being Scottish, reasoned, why shoot 12 rounds at noon and we could wait 1 hour and save 11 rounds. So every day there's a howitzer up on the hill in Edinburgh that goes off at 1 o'clock. So I knew my number was somewhere between 1 and 21. And I decided to do it 7 times, partly because of history, also because there are 7 articles in the U.S. Constitution. So if we were outside, we would be firing the cannon 1 round for each article of the Constitution. Since we're inside, we're adapting. So I have a drummer, Sabrina Brooks, if she'll join me up here, and Ethan Grooms is going to be our cannon. Put that in my ear, are you? So just imagine a 10-gauge blank going off every time Ethan hits this thing. All right, drum roll, please. Article 1 defines the legislature composed of the House of Representatives and the Senate. It describes their powers and workings. Article 2 defines the executive branch, the qualifications for president and vice president, their powers, duties, and means of removal from office. Article 3 sets up the judicial branch, the Supreme Court, and the lower County, I give you your charters of freedom.